Hello viewers, in this video lecture I am going to introduce you to a metrical form called sonnet. Sonnet is a very popular poetic form that we have in English, but its origins lie in Italy. The first sonnets were not written by an Englishman, they were written by an Italian, and the sonnet form came into English literature from Italian. We will discuss different things related to sonnet. It's a poem in 14 lines. We define a sonnet as a poem written in 14 iambic pentameter lines. Let us not discuss iamb pentameter here. It is enough if you remember that it's a poem in 14 lines. The sonnets were first written by the Italian poet called Petrarch. The first person to write a sonnet was a poet called Petrarch, an Italian poet. Petrarch used this form to describe the problems faced by a male lover. The theme of all the sonnets written by Petrarch and many others was the problems faced by a male lover. It was the standard theme or topic of almost all sonnets written by these poets. They wrote different sonnets, but the theme would almost always be the problems of a male lover. It was the standard or default theme of almost all sonnets written by these poets. They divided the sonnet into 8 lines called octave and 6 lines called sestet. Out of the 14 lines that are there in a sonnet, some poets divide the 14 lines into 8 plus 6 lines. The first 8 lines are known as octave and the remaining 6 lines are called sestet. In some sonnets, the speaker would raise a question in the octave and then would go on to answer the question himself in the sestet. That is to say that of these 14 lines, the first 8 lines, which are known as the octave, would throw a question and the question would be answered in the remaining 6 lines known as the sestet. The Petrarchan sonnet is also known as the Italian sonnet. As we know, the sonnet form was introduced by a poet called Petrarch. Hence sonnets are named after Petrarch. Sonnets are known as Petrarchan sonnets just because they were invented by Petrarch. And at the same time, since Petrarch was from Italy, Petrarchan sonnets are also known as the Italian sonnets. The rhyme scheme of an Italian sonnet is ABBA, ABBA, CDC, CDC, or there is an alternate rhyme scheme ABBA, ABBA, CDE, CDE. So when Petrarch and his followers wrote sonnets, they followed one of these two rhyme schemes, either ABBA, CDC, CDC, or ABBA, CDE, CDE. The sonnet form was introduced into English by Sir Thomas Wyatt. Petrarch wrote the original sonnets in the Italian language, and this sonnet form was introduced into English literature by Sir Thomas Wyatt. However, the Earl of Surrey introduced the English sonnet. The chief difference between the English sonnet, which is also known as Shakespearean sonnet, and Petrarchan sonnet or Italian sonnet is the rhyme scheme. The Surrey believed that English language does not have enough number of rhyming words. So he thought that it would be very difficult to write sonnets in the Petrarchan model or Italian model. So he changed the rhyme scheme. Like I told you just now, the English sonnet is also known as the Shakespearean sonnet. You might wonder why it is known as Shakespearean sonnet when it was introduced by the Earl of Surrey. The reason is that Shakespeare was the master practitioner of this particular model. So though it was introduced by the Earl of Surrey, it has come to be known as the Shakespearean sonnet. The rhyme scheme of an English sonnet is AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, GG. So a Shakespearean sonnet would end with a couplet. This is the rhyme scheme of an English sonnet. AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, GG. This GG is nothing but a couplet. Like we discussed earlier, the subject matter of sonnets written by Petrarch and many others used to be the problems or complaints of a male lover. Anyways, there have been poets who have used the sonnet form to speak about topics other than a lover's complaint or problems faced by a male lover. Until then, sonnet was almost always written about a male lover's problems or a male lover's complaints. Some people, some poets deviated from this particular path and they applied this particular sonnet form to discuss topics other than a lover's problems or complaints. For example, Milton used the sonnet form to speak about his blindness. For example, you might be knowing that Milton went blind at the age of 44, and in one of his sonnets, he speaks about his blindness. Likewise, John Donne, in his Holy Sonnets, narrates the divine. That is, instead of speaking about a male lover's complaints or problems, John Donne makes use of the sonnet form to depict or describe the divine. Thank you for watching. I hope that this particular video lecture has helped you understand the various characteristics of sonnets and various other things related to sonnet. Thank you very much. Keep watching my videos and subscribe to it.